myself, because for us to remain relevant in this market, we have to keep identifying new markets and new ways to entertain and become relevant to the consumers. All right. We've been here longer than most of you have been, I believe. We've been here 35 years. So I remember playing at a friend of mine's grandson's party, yet I played at his wedding. Can you see that generational shift? I did his wedding, then I did his son's wedding, and then I'm doing his grandson's birthday party. All right. So it's one of those things we try, and as a business, you have to be relevant across. It's not easy. It takes a lot of sweat and work. So those who are coming in now, you want to be relevant 20 years later. You have to think it through very, very carefully. And one thing we've done again is as a business, we're now listed in the Nairobi Stock Exchange Club. Now, actually, for me, that's one of the milestones of the business. It's just being listed in the NSE, which means we are a public listed company. We can now attract investors very easily. Okay, and again, that was a very intentional move because this business has to outlive us. It can't be about Mike Rabar and his wife and his brothers. No, we're now finding a way to exit, but leave a product that can outlive us and outlive its shareholders. So again, transition in events is very important, or in any business anyway. You have to know how you want to exit and how to exit. So that's one thing that nobody ever taught us in school. We learned the hard way, but always plan your exit, unless you want to shut your business when you leave. All right. And some people don't mind. They don't mind doing that. But we felt that for us, our brand is a very strong brand. It can do so many things. So why kill it when we are tired of it, right? Um, Transition or legacy is very, very critical. I know it can be daunting. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but I'll tell you what, it was well worth it. So if you know how much money we made last year, just go on the website and check. My numbers are there. We made a big loss, but our share price is very high up. All right. So I think one thing about listing or being public is you have to put everything out there in the open. Nobody wants to show their money, right? We don't want Carrie coming and knocking at us. But I think the story is bigger than Carrie, all right? Because now we've got partners in Europe, in Asia, in Japan, in America, knocking on doors saying, hey, we want to come into the country. You guys seem organized. We want to work through you. Yeah, so that's the biggest benefit of listing in the stock exchange. And I'm just pushing this because I know NSC are my partners. They told me, let's get these small companies to start listing. In fact, today they launched a segment for small and medium-sized companies in the NSE that want to list. So very soon we're trying to get small business like yours to list and do some fundraising. Because what you need, I think, for you to scale, you must raise money, right? But you can't raise money when you're in the back. People need to know who you are. They need to see your vision. They need to understand where your journey is going, right? And I think there's always this myth of you can only raise money if you're successful. No, investors, especially in the West, buy into a vision. They don't buy into your numbers, right? Uber is probably the biggest loss-making company, but has the biggest share value right now. So we have to understand that whatever we do now, always think about growth and expansion. The more you grow, the more you create employment, the more you create wealth, the more you grow the economy. So for me, growth is a very big component, and you can't base your business around you, the individual. It limits you so much. I'm here now talking to you guys. I've got a team of about 20 people out there working. God forbid they're doing the right thing. Yeah, but they're working. I haven't got a call from a client, angry client, so I think things are moving well. All right. But that for me is a sign of structure. Right? Being here and having 20 trucks on the road, X amount of speakers and lights and cabling and generators across the country, all running, is a science. If I keep telling my friends, we've now become a logistics company. We move people and equipment across the country. Actually, we have even doing some stuff in Uganda and Tanzania. All right. So I think I must say that we've been very lucky to have been at the right place, right time, and then put the right structures. People buy into structures, by the way. Clients look at, are you organized? Yeah, where's your office? They come to see how you look. How many guys work for you? You know, those are things they look at. So corporate structure is critical. You can be four, but you can be corporate with four people. So as for me, if I'm going to get work and I'm going to outsource to you, because that's where we're heading now. I need to know who's got structure who I can give more work to. I need to look at and believe that you know what you're doing, you have the right systems in place, and you're accountable. And you can't switch off your phone. Yeah, that is a no-no. Your phone has to be on 24/7. All right. So that's one thing that we have to also keep building into ourselves. So it's a good hobby, but it can become a very fruitful business if you take it that way. Um, yeah, I was talking about the future of events, and I think for us one of the biggest lessons we learned during COVID was we couldn't stop because our business is very client facing. We are here doing things for people on the ground, but during COVID we couldn't do any of that. We're all locked down. So we started actually our biggest success stories when we started doing virtual AGMs for clients. Being listed in the stock exchange, we know all clients have got to do AGMs, all people listed. So we knew all the companies that are by de facto have to have an AGM, whether there's a COVID or not COVID. So we created a tool, a virtual meeting platform, which runs up to today for most of our clients. So we realized that now, because of that, virtual meetings have now become the norm. Zoom plus these other elements. Now, when it comes to things like AGMs, it's a lot more complex. It's a full production, as you can see here. Actually, it's more complex than putting together a soccer match. All right. But that's been a very successful area for us and seems keeps growing. And all of a sudden, you find companies adopting that model even for normal meetings where it's hybrid, it's in person and virtual. And that's how events are going to be now. Yeah. With the advent of VR and AR, you can be at a Burna Boy concert in San Diego from here. Yeah. And actually pay and be part of it. Just put on your wearables and go backstage. Yeah, that's what's happening right now, and those are the kind of things we're bringing also into the country. We're doing a lot of virtual reality experiences, but mainly on the corporate side. But now I'm saying, how do you bring this into these outlets where it's everyone's got headphones, it's quiet, but you're still enjoying yourself. Okay. So headsets. The other thing that could also be a big deal for us is interactive live stream events. That's become the norm. So you get this feed on now on WhatsApp, Facebook, on X, on Insta. So you've got people who are being part of the journey, watching very closely, but are not with you. We've realized a lot of that. We do a lot of that, especially for political dispensations. So we do a lot of work for the state. So we stream most of HE's events live, and we find that that's where most Kenyans can get a chance to hear about the chapati. The other thing that has become a very big element for us is immersive gigs, where you have to now play with the five senses. Yeah, you walk in and you need to smell, feel, hear, touch, and see. So again, a lot of technology is getting inculcated in the delivery of some of these events. So we've got couples who want to do weddings in a tropical beach, but then in South Sea. Yeah. So how do you make that happen? We're making these things happen, and it's not difficult. Just use the technology. So again, for us, another big area of growth is on the tech side. So I said we've got a lot of coders doing data collection, but also now we've got developers developing tools that can be used to create uh, scapes, whether it's sound, uh, visual, and smell. We even have partnership with companies in India that help us do some of these things. So those are things clients are asking for now. You'd be amazed at what a 15-year-old party would look like nowadays. Yeah. Um, and talking of 15-year-old parties, we've got a lot of theme spaces also putting together for a lot of clients. So somebody wants a theme of space. How do you bring that to life? Yeah, fantasy themes. What do you do? It's going to be a theme around Batman and Robin in New York. How do you bring that to life? So those things are very exciting, and they're expensive, but clients are willing to pay for that. All right. The other thing I found very interesting is also clients becoming more sensitive about the environment. So being told we're having an eco-friendly event, no generators. We have to power the event with solar. And a lot of the UN type events we do are very specific about our CO2 emissions. Who knew they measure the CO2 emission of a generator? So they're very clear. There's a certain milligrams of CO2 you have to meet at the event, otherwise you don't even qualify to do that event. It's getting very, very technical. But with all these carbon emissions and the environment bit, it's become something we cannot neglect as event managers. Things like recycling, paper cups, things like how do you utilize waste, um, food waste? What are you going to do about it? They're asking us those kind of questions. All right. Are flowers biodegradable? Yeah. Are they grown locally? Are they from the local area? So we're doing an event in Naivasha where they said everything must come from Naivasha. to avoid carbon emissions of moving from Nairobi to Mombasa. Everything. Right? I'll make this sound a bit deeper. Yeah. Okay. The other thing is around just the eco-friendliness of events. We've been told no more sending invoices on paper. Everything is digital. It's become that detailed where clients even base your input on the environment on how you invoice, how you dispose of waste. Yeah. And now we're even being asked to look for eco-conscious venues by clients. Yeah. Which venue does not have, which one has the least amount of pollution? Is it going to be a KICC? Which one has more natural lighting? Yeah. And again, all these things come because companies get some of those carbon credits when they put those in the balance sheet. So it's become a very small, become something you cannot ignore to a point we're even trying to get a specialist who understands what carbon credits are. You find we do a lot of global conferences, and those are things that are taken very, very seriously. Um, the other thing that has come through, and we see where this is heading, is having virtual performances. So now this technology I can actually bring Banner Boy here using technology and have a hologram and have interact with him. We've done two events like that where the person wasn't in the room, but he was in the room with us. Using certain projections, we're now doing holograms. All right. Again, technology is taking control of this space. So nothing is impossible. So you have a keynote speak like mine. I'll be doing this, and I'll be in a space in Namibia, and you can see me in 3D. All right. You can probably come and shake my hand as well. So those things are becoming the norm, where we're now being told, hey, um, keynote speaker is going to be at a function in New York. Can you have him beamed here on the same day? What do we need to do? That technology exists. We have partners in the States who are able now to do that kind of thing, and we are now seeing how can you bring that technology locally because it's also quite expensive. I think you've seen how the use of drones in the air are now a normal thing in the West to create holograms in the sky. Yeah. And people are willing to pay for that kind of thing. So do we have the capacity here? Not yet, but we're getting there. But that's where this is all heading. And I think the world has become so small, everyone sees everything. They're saying, why can't you do it here? There's nothing special about what's so hard to do that here. So it's also a challenge for we planners. We have the know-how, the expertise. Can you localize the cost, or do you have to fly in a whole team from France to help us put this together? All right. And I've seen things like smart wedding rings. Yeah, where they track the health of your partner. Yeah, and also where he is. Um, no, that's the other thing that I think has been very interesting in our experience is gastronomy and multi-sensory dining. So food is no longer food anymore. You know, people want to know what they're eating, how many calories, where it came from. You know, so you find that there's an event we're doing. We had to have everyone's culinary expectation. So we knew it was 400 guests. What each one does not eat, who's gluten allergic, who's got lactose issues. So you have like different serving stations, but no one's going to fall sick. All right. But that's how far it's going to. And again, for whoever's in catering, there's a big opportunity there in trying to understand different gastronomical diversions from different people. So there's tools you can create where you send out this questionnaire, they fill in this in the app, and then by the time you get all this information, you know exactly who's going to vomit at what time. All right. Um, so again, that's where technology is taking us, right? So catering has become very sophisticated, and people are very particular about what they eat. I've got two daughters, so I know exactly what that means. Yeah. Um, the other area that we've seen that's very, very instrumental in events is virtual entertainment. So we're doing a lot of e-sport activities where we find our consumers playing against competitors around the world. So it's no longer just about you playing in a room. You're playing you're taking part in global events. So again, how do you make sure that works? How do you stitch it all together? Now your audience is no longer just Kenyan. You're dealing with people in Peru, in China, different time zones, different internet speeds, and you're doing something that brings all these guys together. I think there's nothing more fulfilling than seeing this thing come to life. Um, so I think for me, the wedding and event of the future will be highly personalized, immersive, very tech savvy, very advanced technology, VR, AI, wearable tech. That's the way of the future. It's actually now. It's not even, it's actually happening now. Yeah. The other thing that we have to take, which you don't quite take seriously in this environment, is sustainability. That's become a key word in most of these briefs you get. You know, how sustainable is the event, usability, and if you can structure your business around the few things I've mentioned, I can guarantee you can't go wrong. And as Meg mentioned, there's too much going on here. Yeah, we've not even scratched the surface. I think in this room we probably can only partake of 0.2% of events happening in Nairobi, not even in Kenya, in Nairobi. People in this room. Yeah. So just what I can advise is pick an area that you like, you like, specialize in that area, and I can guarantee you cannot go wrong. Right? I don't know if that's what you call a keynote speech or it's a testimony. Whatever it is, I've said it, and I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to reach out to me. We've got a lot of projects coming through, so I'm very happy to always share or give up some of this work to those companies that we feel are able to deliver to our standard. But like I said, we've been here long enough. We've seen it, we've done it, and I want to share it. Thank you very much.
Let's give it up one more time for Mike Rabah. I think he has given us a lot of insights. First of all, I think many of us have worked with him. Have we not? Not directly with him. Well, his company, of course, he's at the top. So I like the open call and saying, please come work with me, come talk to me. I hope it's for real, not through your PA. But he has invited you to talk to him directly. Again, big up to Meg for pulling this off. I know a lot of us are. Yes, let's give it up for her. Um, uh, I think a lot of us were able to relate to Mike as he was speaking. Some of us are rushing from here straight to Naivasha to make it for what we're doing at the WRC. But of course, being here, that means something. That means you took this seriously enough to also just, divide your team and still be able to make it for this. So this is quite an important event to be at. And I have to give it up to you guys also for coming through. I'm sure a lot of you are quite busy, but you made time for this. This is something that we really, really need. I'll speak for myself. Really need it because there's one thing they have both mentioned. The pot is too big, guys. The pot is way too big to keep it to ourselves and want to silo ourselves to work by ourselves. We need to be able to reach out to each other, work together, make the pot bigger, and of course make more money together. We'd like to do a Q&A session with Mike. I don't know if you're aware of this, but of course I'm sure there are a lot of people who have questions at this particular point. He's mentioned quite a lot of things. He's mentioned innovation. Innovation is taking a big part in events. I have a question about innovation and how it affects job creation at this point, because a lot of things that you have mentioned, um, they do tend to take jobs away from people, but they do improve the quality of services as well. He also mentioned sustainability. Sustainability has taken a big, big part in events nowadays. Even as we've been told with kids, you have to have bins, educate them, make sure they know about CO2, carbon emissions. You're like, where do you start, please, with kids? But it's something that a lot of companies are being aware of, and I think it's an agenda for the president as well. So what does this mean for the event industry? So for the Q&A, I think we'll just start with a few questions. We have MC Himas over here. She'll be taking in your questions. Do we have a few people who'd like to have questions for Mike tonight? All right, we have
You
one
have
over
to.
there. All right. So we'll take five. So I think let's just map them out right now. We have two there. We have one here. We have one over there. One more. We just need one more. Okay, then we'll take the 4. All right, let's get started.
Hi everyone, thank you very much. My name is Steven from a company called Next Level Sound Solutions. My question to Mike is concerning the future of how do you see collaboration working in the events industry? Because as you're saying, if the pot is so big that we don't need to be competitors, uh, how do you envision as a visionary in the field how collaboration can be structured for it to work very well?
Maybe I'll answer them because I've got a very short memory. I'll forget.
All right.
Okay, I think and I was just talking to Meg actually as we got here. Is do you guys have some kind of collective, so that everyone knows everyone, and you have some kind of, let me call it a circle or association. Yeah, because that's where it all starts. Because if I don't know what you're doing, I can't give you work. Yeah, if you don't know what I'm doing, you can't give me work. Like I said, the pot is so big. Um, Today we're looking for a crowd control barrier in Nairobi. We will not get. All of them are in Naivasha. There's not a single barrier in Nairobi. Unless you have, it doesn't only have barriers. Seriously, I need some tomorrow. And I'm not lying. That's how bad it is. Okay? So we've got a very big game on Sunday. I've got to block off 4 sections of the whole highway for foot traffic. How do you block that off? Yeah, yet everything is in Naivasha because you've got to block off, say, Sambu, Hell's Gate. You know what's going on there. So I think without knowing what you're doing, it's impossible for me to get you. So what you need to do is first of all create a collective or association where everyone knows everyone and everyone believes that we can collaborate and help each other. That way, then I can find you, then we can support each other. So that's where it starts, Steve. All right. Thanks.
All right. Next question.
Okay, habari yako Mike Raba?
Jema sana.
Salama. Okay, mimi naitwa Bernard Maluki ama my artistic names are Dope Boy Gush. Anatoka organization inaitwa Cheza World, iko based Dandora. Tunadu mambo ya promote talents like the dancers you have seen. They are part of our organization. And personally, I run an entertainment company called Wayahudi Entertainment Company. I've been in the music industry for a while, but for entertainment, in the last like 2 years, doing small gigs here and there in Dandora, East Lando in general. So my question is, I had a lot of questions for you, but nimekuona lost zote. So I want to tell you, but me nimekuwa nikifollow Homeboys ever since they were DJing in KTN, those rap battles. So nasema pia me I'm a product of Homeboys in a way. They have inspired me until now. I'm a DJ. I work in a local radio station huko mtaani inaitwa Coach FM. So my question is, umesema that things zinachange haraka whereby mnadu virtual events. So there was a time I had an event. It was sponsored by someone from Canada. It was okay. During the planning, it was around December last year, but the event was actually to happen this year, January. Okay. Yeah, 2024. That is 2024. So during the time of negotiation, the dollar ikashift, ikashuka like within a 1 week, ikashuka kabisa. Na the amount we had negotiated, so ikakuwa like ikikama upanda itoshi, unaona. So how do you go about that? Maybe my negotiation may agree on this amount, but by the time na happen the cost imepanda, so mnakaa mnaenda loss. So do you go to him or her, then you tell her so lazima ongeze do fulani ndio at least tujisort, ama how do you go about it?
Okay, I think that's a very, very critical question. But you won't get the right answer from me. I know what you want to hear for sure. For me, I tell you, if it was you, I don't look at the money. I look at the job first. How important is it for me to do up with those Canadians, first and foremost? Yeah? It's not always about the money, chief. Kwanza msanii, you need to be seen. You have to build your brand. It takes a long time to build your product. If you put the money first, you'll not grow. So for me, till today, I do free gigs. I do. She knows. She hasn't paid me for many gigs. Yeah, but so I know the money is important, but you have to put things in context. If I get a call from a Canadian, there's something they've seen in me, right? If I don't get a chance to demonstrate it to them, then I'm the biggest loser. they'll keep the dollars and pay another guy in Pandora, which I'm sure they did. Yeah. So don't ever lose out on opportunity because of money. It sounds cliche, but it's a fact. Yeah. So if you're very clear about what you want to achieve in your life, when I was given the job as a chair of AFCON, I didn't ask how much am I being paid. I asked what does it entail? You know, bottom line, I don't care about the money. It's being sitting there and interacting with all these people. We're going to be with more Sarah next week. We're going for the World Cup in Atlanta. That's what it means being in that kind of space. So look at the opportunities it's going to offer to you before you look at the money. As I said, I give you, that's not the answer you wanted to hear, but it's a fact. Yeah. And that's been my policy ever since. And I know money is critical. And maybe I've been lucky to have been gifted one or the other. It doesn't apply to everybody. But really for me, I look at the opportunity that exists first before I look at how much. All right.
Okay, so for me, I did the event, by the way.
Oh, well done.
I did it, but nilienda loss. And also, the team that nilikuwa nao, hawaku understand hiyo kitu. So they look on me, where Gush, knocking on my door and all that. So, it was a bit tricky situation, but ilikuwa tu hivyo. Yeah.
But I think I must commend you for doing the job. And you can rest assured, if you did a good job, watakupigia simu tena. You see? Excellent. Good.
You've had it for yourself. Mike Rava is able to do free gigs. Who knew? So you guys who are out there were saying, at Taki exposure near pictures. Now you know we're able, at least build yourself. I like that. Build yourself and know what the opportunity presents. All right. Next question, please.
Hi, Mike, and to the rest of you. My name is Maina. How do you monetize data? You talked about having a lot of data, and then you mentioned a part where you have people you sell it to, or you leverage that data. But so how do you monetize data that you've collected over? Yeah.
Okay, so again, that's a very important element. So all of us here go for pitches to clients, right? Again, the best pitch wins the deal. Yeah, we're all going to sell the same thing. All my flowers, my deco, may I go and sell data. Yeah, you guys can sell flowers and speakers. May I sell data? That's how I get the gigs. When the client knows you understand who they're trying to target, how you're going to connect with that consumer, they forget everybody else. They remember you because you know what their mission is. So data is gold. Knowing, especially where we sit, knowing who your client wants to talk to and how they can reach to them in the cheapest way possible gives you a great footing over anybody else. So monetizing data is being able to use that you know to put the pitch together. So we do a lot of work with the telcos, with the betting companies, with the breweries. So we know what they want to hear. How do I get Minor to drink my beer? I tell you, Minor sleeps at this time. Here is where he plays golf. He didn't like. He loves this. On weekends, he's here. I'll give you Minor on a silver platter tomorrow. Done deal. Yeah, that's the power of data. That's how we use data to leverage. Okay, and I can tell how many guys are politicians are knocking on our door right now. Very many. Yeah, the one Gen Zs. How do you get these Gen Zs, man? Where are they hanging out? What are they doing? Who's in charge of this? You know, so that data is very, very powerful. So I don't say you misuse it, but use it to your advantage. Right.
All right. We are taking 2 more questions and then we're done with the Q&A.
Hi, my name is Doris Kimorori with Yellow Hummingbird. You've already asked the question I wanted to ask. However, there's another question for the 5th person that you didn't get, which was how much is your shares, and congratulations with moving to NSC.
All right. I hope that's not a trick question. So we went in at 3 bob. We're now at 5 bob in less than 2 years. Yeah, but we're going to be at 20 bob in another 2 years. So just start buying shares, guys. Don't say I didn't tell you. All right. But actually, seriously, being in that space is also, it forces you to be innovative. You know, I don't report to my wife anymore. I report to my shareholder. The only reason my share price is going to go up is they come up with new ideas constantly. So that's been a very big motivator and a driver for us to keep being productive. You know, when you're running a business, you can stabilize and say, may I make my money and my salary, I'm fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for us, if we're saying, fine, I need to entice Gen Zs to buy Homeboy shares. Well, how do I make sure Gen Zs can resonate with the brand? What am I doing constantly to make sure that we're on top of our game? That's what keeps the brand fresh and alive. So without a serious driver or push and I think even personally, you've got a certain goal, you hit it, you relax. But us, our target is constantly moving, constantly moving. Because again, we're not looking at shareholders in Kenya. We've got people who shares in companies locally. So how do you make sure it's worth their while? So you have to keep innovating and keep selling the future of the business. So we're becoming a technology company with entertainment in the background. Yeah, and we're soon going into fintech. How do you guys pay at events? How do you keep that money? How do you invest the money back in something else? Things like that. Things like crypto are things we're taking it very seriously, you know. So we've been forced to innovate. And I'm glad we took this leap. Otherwise, we'd have taken a backseat and just said to Mefika. But to us, every day is a new day. You have to try something constantly to make sure Dandura will buy, will resonate with the brand. Okay?
Can we start buying that?
Not until June. Actually, a very important point, we put a freeze on trading because there are a few initiatives we want to launch that will make the price go a bit slightly higher. So the things we're setting up, not just locally, but globally, that should affect the outlook of the product. All right? So now we're speaking a lot of financial lingo. So again, from being a DJ to moving into this space, but again, it's been exciting for us as well. A very interesting journey. Okay? Thanks.
All right. One more.
All right, hi guys. How are you? My name is Stretch DJ, and just to let you know, I give Mike Rabar credit to my career. I think he admitted me as the youngest student, Homeboys Academy, when I just finished Standard 8. So I really credit.
That was illegal, by the way.
But just to add something about money, and so many people are coming into this industry hoping for money. The one thing I'd like to share together with Mike is that for him to get where he has gotten, it has taken time. If we take, for example, like our parents and their businesses and where they started off, it has taken time. The unfortunate thing is that most people are trying to get into the industry with the aspect of how do I make money the same way Homeboys is making? How do I make money the same way established brands are making money right now? So unfortunately for very many people, they are not patient. They're not willing to wait. They want the results as instant. So what I can say for most people is, trust you me, it won't take a year. It won't take 2 years. Have your goal in sight and be patient with it. The most unfortunate bit about most people coming to the entertainment industry, boss, me, I want a DJ. Right now he's running, his movers and shakers of entertainment. And that did not happen instantly. So learn to be patient, learn to take in knowledge, and eventually, if all your stars align, then that can happen for you. So I think that's just it for me.
All right, maybe just to add and give Rabah his. Why are you smiling? Hata sijasema. I'm one of his products. Those who know me. Yes, and mine is not a soft journey. Akimulitutesa.
Look where you are now.
Yeah. Those people who are at 207 post-election violence, you remember? I was a BA, which now we are calling ushers. And then a lady called Sophia picked me from the crowd and trained me from Homeboys rooftop, sorry. Na wacha niwaambie, tulikuwa tunakaa kuanzia asubuhi mpaka jioni. Kama hujashika product, kama vile unaenda kuongea na watu wa post election, utakaa hapo mpaka ushike. I'm very grateful. They took me to road shows and I stepped up, and here I am today. Thanks to Homeboys.
All right. I think a lot of us have testimonies because, coincidentally enough, Icon Radio is where you guys started off at
Mauritius.
Baricha Road. That is currently where we are. So every time we're like, yeah, we're Icon Radio. Where are you guys? Former homeboys. Yeah, that's where we're at. There's always that reiteration of where we are right now. So there's always that genesis, and of course, there's an aspect of giving back. Because even when we have artists who come in, they come in, they're like, oh my gosh, I remember this room. It was the freezer room. We were at Teswad here. We made records here. We did this, that, and that. So that there's always that aspect of giving back. So thank you guys for your testimonies on that. Um, and of course, we are going into the moderation. But before we go into the moderation, let's give a big warm hand to Mike. Can you even tell us his first time on a dais telling his story? Can anybody tell? He did it so well, and as in he inspired a lot of you inspired today. Even if you've been in the industry for like 500 years, there's always an aspect of inspiration. First of all, how many of you started your business off of what you love? Like you loved being in the club, or well, that's how I started. So if you loved, make the smell of cakes, how many started from what they love? I basically started from the love of karaoke, and I started off with a DVD machine and a USB, and I bought cheap mics for like 1.5 off the streets, and now we're doing it for corporates and for kids. So the dream is always alive for people who are just starting off, like Gush. Gush, we met him because he came to the station and he's like, "Give my kids a chance," and now here they are dancing for all of you. Let's give it up for Kings of Art. They've also done it for us at our events. Please give these kids a chance. These kids, they turn events from your ordinary into something spectacular. And they don't represent where they're from, they represent who they are. And that is talented and creative. So for everybody in this room, let's give each other a chance. Speaking of giving each other chances, it's somebody who reminded me from where I started, which was karaoke in the club. We have Kat Mirero. Kat is a good friend of mine, but she is a master or mistress or whichever you call it in PR. And she is doing PR right now for Kaka Empire. She'll tell you a story. Let's welcome Kat to the front right now. Give a big hand to Kat Mirero.
Hi, everyone. Hello. Good evening, everybody. Before I climb on the stage, let me stay at your level. My name is Kat Mirero, but my full name is Kazambi. Actually, I got that name in campus because I went to Nazarene University and it was a very cosmopolitan campus. And I remember there was a Ghanaian who couldn't pronounce my name. So from then he called me Kat and it has stuck. Myra said a bit about what I do. I'm a PR and communication specialist, but I've been in the music industry for the last 6 years. I've mainly worked with Kenyan artists such as King Kaka, Femi One, Timothy Dat, Avril, basically that whole roster under Kaka Empire, which is owned by King Kaka. So I came here initially as a panelist, but Meg saw it in me to be able to moderate this. So give me a chance. I'm slightly nervous, but the nerves are going down. But I hope this panel will be ours because it's for all of us. And yeah, so let's take it away, right? My panel is ready. We're about to hit the stage, but you have to come up the stage dancing a bit. Can we do that? I didn't dance. I'm exempted. All right. Let me get there and then I call them. All right. So, what I'm gonna do, I'm going to give a bit of a profile about all my. I can see some of them here. All the guys who are coming to join me on stage. So, firstly, we have Fatima Baij. Have I pronounced it correct? Baiji. Sorry, apologies for that. Now, I'm sure most of you, because we are all in the entertainment and events and wedding space, I'm sure you've all heard of You've all have heard of Aura, right? Yes. She's the founder and lead designer. Now, first up, as she's coming on stage, let me talk about her a bit. She's the visionary behind Aura, one of Nairobi's premier event planning and deco companies, with over 12 years experience in not only putting up events but productions. Fatima has mastered the art of transforming spaces into extraordinary experiences, from luxurious weddings to high-end corporate events. She and her team are known for their meticulous attention to detail, innovative designs, and ability to bring any client's vision to life. Fatima, we're so happy to have you here. Please come join me on stage. Another round of applause for her. Now, next up on stage, we have Alfred Kimweli. Where are you? Hi. Now you have to dance. I've given you enough warning. All right. So now Alfred Kimweli is the co-founder of House of Dotty. He's a co-founder actually along with his wife. Right? Hi, Dotty. I assume. Nice to meet you. Now they are a household name in Kenya's wedding and event planning space, and alongside Dorothy, aka Dotty, Alfred has turned what started out as a passion project into a full scale business that has been thriving since 2008. Amazing. With a background in hospitality and tourism, he brings in unique perspective on client experience and event execution. Alfred, welcome to the panel. Is he dancing? Cue the music. I'm doing well so far. I've not walked out of the stage, so progress. All right. Next up, we have Faith Ishanga. Hi. Counseling and organizational psychology. Yeah, because we all need mental health, not just in this industry, but clearly all of us. So you can tell a bit of what she does from what I've said so far. She's an expert in the workspace wellness and mental health. As a counseling and organizational psychologist, Faith has worked extensively with individuals and companies to promote well-being in high-stress industries. Amen for that, right? This entire industry is pressure. So we need you. Come join us. Where's her music? Hey, 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 hey. I'm afraid you're supposed to sit in the middle of you guys. Yeah. All right. Last but certainly not least is the tall Mr. Jackson. Jackson. Can I call you that? Okay, let me say a bit about him. Jackson Mwangi is a renowned wedding photographer and videographer. We have, sorry, with a massive online following and a reputation for capturing some of the most stunning wedding moments, Jackson has built not just a business, but a brand. His work has shaped how couples document their big day in the digital age, and we're excited to hear his thoughts on the interaction of creativity, technology, and business. Jackson, karibu.
Kwani mnataka majozi aje ama nini? Nyie hamialiki, mbona mwenzaka nasema napenda lakini yeye haniambii, haweza kashindwa kifungo hata 200, ila hanipigii. Hivi sasa nitapita ongea na mimi.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Perfect. I remember Meg told me to imagine that I'm sitting next to my fireplace with a bunch of exceptional people. We're exchanging ideas, we're getting to know each other. So basically, that's a vibe I'm going for. So before we start, let's have some brief intros from directly from the horse's mouth. Yeah. technically. So we can take it from here. Can you tell us a bit about what you do and basically why you're here? Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Hope you can hear me well. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you to Meg for inviting me. Actually, when she called me, I wasn't sure because it's Ramadan right now, so I was a bit confused. But then she was so the way she lovingly called me, and she was so graceful. I said no, I must make it for this event, and I've come with my team as well. It's really nice to be here. So I call myself a creator of memories, not really a director, because that's what our company does. We create experiences and lifelong memories for our clients. We specialize in weddings. Actually, when I first started in the industry, I started doing a lot of corporate events, and then through the corporate events, we started doing weddings, and then weddings became my first love, and it will always be my first love. We've been in the industry for about 12 years, and thanks to our wonderful clients, our peers, and all our vendors, we've been able to create some really really good experiences for all our clients. And I hope to share some of that knowledge with you. And please feel free to ask me any questions you may have. And even after we're done with this, you can always come to me and ask me, and I'll be happy to help. It's lovely to be here.
Thank you. That's amazing. And please take her up. We're all here because of Meg, but Meg connected me with Maya, and the list goes on. So the dots always connect. So always take up offers like that. Thank you so much, Fatima. Next, here we go.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Alfred is my name, and I want to say thank you, Meg. I think I've known Meg, but I met Meg the first time in a very weird space. We were both at the coast. We were not working. We were on holiday, and we're in this place that has amazing beach parties every Saturday in Watamu. Anyone who knows Paparemo is the place to go on a typical Saturday. And we're just having fun, and Meg came up and said, "Hi, Alfred and Dorothy." And for me, that led to today, because after that, he remembered me. And he asked me, "I have this event coming up. Would you mind coming?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. Why not?" Because we're always craving for such events. So Alfred is my name. I'm one half of House of Dottie. Dottie is my lovely wife. She is my partner. I like saying she's my boss, both at home and at work. And we pride ourselves in being wedding planners. That's all what we do. Yeah, we pride ourselves at doing perfectly orchestrated weddings. It's what we do. It's what we eat, we drink, we sleep weddings. The funny thing about us is we never loved. We got married 18 years ago. I don't even remember our wedding. I had no passion for weddings back then, but that was our starting journey. So just a brief history of where we've come from. So we started after our wedding, which I think was beyond its time back then. And what happened was, after our wedding, a lot of our friends reached out to us to help them with their weddings. I was working, Dorothy was working, and we started out as being the most loud people in the wedding committees. If you all remember wedding committees. And through that, especially myself, because I was very vocal in committees, I ended up being the chairman of the committees. And what does the chairman do on the wedding day? You are the one who's running with everything. So the chairman became a chairman for so many years. So from 2006, that's when we got married. We were able to just do that. And then 7 years later, down the road, Dorothy attended a very powerful class that helped us put structures into what we do now. Still then, she was the boss. That's why it's called House of Dottie. And she started the company back then. I was still doing it part-time, but approximately 7 years later, she got rich enough to pay me. So I fired my boss, and I got my new boss, and that has been our journey ever since. So professionally, I'd like to say House of Dottie has been in the industry for quite a while, but professionally as old as our kids are. So our first baby, we have 2 girls. Our first girl is 15 this year. Our industry is approximately 14, give or take. That's when we were serious into it, and we love doing what we do. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Amazing and sweet. I might call you here. Get ready. No worries. Next up.
So, as introduced, my name is Faith Gishanga. I usually say I wear two hats when it comes to psychology. On one hand, I am a counseling therapist. So I do counseling for individuals, for couples, marital issues. I do that. Group therapy, I do that. But then increasingly, I think like we're saying, there's a way you start from somewhere and then you grow as you continue with the profession. So I got into organizational psychology. And so I work with organizations to bring in the aspect of wellness, first of all, but also just generally. Increasingly, it's to show organizations that when you invest in mental health for your employees, it's not well, it is an expense, but we like to look at it like an investment, right? Because like statistics show that for every like $1 you invest in mental health, you get $4 in productivity. And I usually say that's such a high ROI. So yes, it may look like an expense, but at the end of the day, it's an investment because it directly translates to your bottom line. So it's an area that I'm very excited. And so when Meg called me and told me they are, she's having this event and they're considering the wellness, and I was so excited because I think the people who know me, who follow me on social media, I live and breathe, mental health and wellness. And so to see a different space, a new sector coming in to say we also need to appreciate mental wellness, we need to appreciate mental health. How do we work as people in events? How do we work and ensure that we're not burning out? How do we have like a good integration between where does work end? I'm hearing the story of the Dotties, so their family life is also their work life. I can only imagine how interesting that gets, as far as probably do we draw the line somewhere. So I'm very excited to be here to also just see that more and more industries and spaces are coming up. I did come with a colleague of mine, Benedicta. Maybe you can just wave. So I just wanted to say I'm not the only psychologist in the house, so there's also someone else behind there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Faith.
Hello, everyone. Am I too loud?
You can never be too loud in this space.
All right. So my name is Jackson Mwangi. I'm a wedding photographer. I'm the person still who runs Cine Studio and 360 Photo Booth Kenya. 360, probably you know it because you were the first ones to bring the 360, the magic mirror, the magazine booth, the VR, and all that. I'm quite excited to be part of this panel to share experiences in regards to the wedding industry. I started off back in Dubai, came back in 2017, came in Kenya to do wedding photography. The reason why I came back actually it was because the culture in weddings in Kenya, it is really, really beautiful. Seeing those people coming to sing in the morning, church within the same day, reception, and all that. It was quite exciting compared to doing weddings back in Dubai. And that's one of the reasons why I came back. And I'm really, really excited to be part of this panel so that we can be able to share knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A better clap for our guest before we get started. Now, before I delve into the serious questions based on the topics we decided to have today, I'll throw out a question to any one of them, and any of them can pick it up in any order. In the last few years of your businesses, what's the one thing you would say you've had to shift majorly to make your business continue thriving as it has been? Is that too hard for first? Any takers?
I think in the past few years, the one thing that I think has been important for me has been to shift the business in a positive way is, I think, to invest in a good team. Because initially, it was always like, you'd call it a one-man show or a one-woman show. People would think like one person can run an entire organization, but I think teamwork is very important. So I think investing in a good team, I think, is the way to go now.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Alfred, you want to take the question as well?
Yes, I actually wanted to to say the same. And I think for me, it's just the realization that you cannot be everything. You can be good at what you do, but the business is more than just doing that. And I'll give you a good example, a small one, which is presence in social media. I remember I've been one of the guys who took so long for us to even be able to come to social media. I do not personally own any IG account, but the business had to. And for us to be able to come up and say, you know what, we need a social media page. Now, one of the people who pushed me to do that is my sister-in-law, Edna, who
Hi,
was part of
Edna.
us for the longest time, and we were able to groom her to be able to run our own event. But even doing that was so hard because even when we started the social media campaigns, every social media thing had to pass through Alfred, who would take 1 week to okay it because I had to make sure that the language is right. Does it represent who we are? Does it talk the same? Until we met a very young girl who told us, you know what, people do not care about Kizungu Mingi. They
Gen
just
Z.
want to see a photo. And from that, honestly, I have no clue how our social media runs, but it runs every day. And for me, it's a shift that we had to take. And I can testify that it is really working for us.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for that. Anybody else?
Okay, I can go. For me, it was COVID. So COVID was a bit of a blessing when it came to things like mental health. That's a time I think a lot of people were talking about it, and it was online. I think we were talking about it on social media and everything. So one of the shift that also happened at the time, remember, we couldn't do physical meetings, right? I can say I was very old school. I knew that yes, virtual counseling happens, but I don't know, I was old school. I was like, no, we were taught we have to sit next to each other,
a
you know,
couch?
yes, like that. But because of COVID and because we had to devise a way to do, you know, to still do, and in fact the demand was high at the time. So I went virtual, and so that was 2020. Actually, by 2022, I went fully virtual. I no longer even have physical one-on-one. So of course that cut cost for me, and then it widened my reach. So that's a shift I can say.
Opened up a new world.
It did, yeah.
No limits, all right. Jackson?
Was one of the main things that we really invested, especially when I was coming back from Dubai and I was able to gather up a team, was on training. One of the hardest things, especially when you get new employees, is to train them so that they can be able to think the way you're thinking, trying to execute work the same way you're doing, and also moving from trying to work smart, sorry, not trying to work hard, to trying to work a bit more smarter. I remember we did a training on emotional intelligence. When we came to study about, clients really don't buy into the great knowledge that you have, but actually they buy into how they feel about your brand. The moment we went on that direction, combined with social media, I don't know, suddenly we started growing and becoming bigger. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that. That was an easy question, and you guys were hesitant. What's gonna happen? You know, relax, relax. I got you. So I would say, what we can all take away from those responses are, first, the importance of teamwork, believing in people. You cannot be a master of everything. You end up being a slave to something. Is that saying like that? Yeah, something like that. So teamwork, diversification, accepting that you need help, right? Diversification and allocating tasks. What's that word? I'm testing you guys. Are you awake? Delegation, effective delegation, exactly. And then obviously expanding your thinking in terms of believing that you can reach more people and you can have physical, non-physical sessions in terms of counseling psychologists, yeah. And then obviously getting a team. Fun fact, I recently opened up a small business, and I can tell you for sure the hardest part of business is human resource. Getting the right people, training them, because you'd want everyone to think like you. Even your own kids can't think like you. So I like that point, and I think we'll dig deep into that. So what I had done, I had created a few questions for each of them. Can we start with you? Okay, fine. I don't know. Did you get a chance to look at them? Very briefly. Yes, these are bosses. What was I thinking? Okay, here I am. Okay, so the first question, I hope I don't sound too boring. It's covering how we need to adapt to new consumer expectations. So, obviously, based on your introduction and your work, which is excellent, by the way, you've built a reputation of transforming spaces into extraordinary experiences, with clients becoming more design savvy with AI. There's so many apps for that, and the demanding personalization and different touches that clients want. How do you stay ahead and keep your designs fresh and exciting?
That's an interesting question. So, I think what we do, what we pride ourselves in, is that we try and really create like bespoke experiences for every client. I'll talk about a client in general, not just a couple, but a couple or a corporate client, or a birthday or an anniversary. So when a client comes to see us for the first time, what we do is we sit with them and we understand what they want first. I don't usually start talking about what we do and what we can do and show them photos, and I never do that. So what I do is first understand what do they want, what is their vision, try and understand like what their background is, what their taste is, what is like their favorite color, what is the vision behind their event, what kind of experience do they want to give their guests. Once you master that, then you understand your client. And we have to, as you mentioned, clients are now more aware of what they want. They were, because of social media and Pinterest, and so people actually come with mood boards to our office now, and they're like, this is what we want. So what I tell them is, yes, it's good to have your vision, it's good to have a taste, but the reason you've come to us is because you want us to now enhance that for you. So I would say that the client challenges your mind to be able to come up with something different, so they feel the value of them having come to you to design their experience for them. So I think the challenge of trying to give a better proposal than what the client has come with, so they go out feeling like they've got better than what they expected, is a challenge that makes us do something different for our clients. Number two is, we try and also stay ahead of the trends. Trends is a very like, I would say, a subject that is, everybody wants to be in trend, everybody wants to do what's trending. If this color is in this year, Pantone color of the year, so everybody will say, okay, I'm going to do Pantone color of the year. But I think you have to think outside the box and see, okay, in the wedding industry, Pantone of the color this year is, I think, coffee or something like that. But what is the Pantone color of the year in, say, in a fashion designing world? And that could be your Pantone color for your client for that wedding. So you have to think outside the box. You have to look into, like, what's trending in the fashion industry, what's trending in the interior architecture like industry. What are people, what kind of restaurants are trending, what kind of experience do people want. So that also gives you a bit of an edge to give some new ideas to your clients. So I feel inspiration can come from there, and that gives your event that edge. The other thing is that we try and also be updated in what's new in the market. So we're always keeping a check on, okay, what has this person brought in, what new chairs have come. So when a client comes and shows you the same crossback chairs or shiawari chairs, you already have a whole list of new things that have come. So you can tell the client, okay, you want a rustic event, but let's make it a bit more Italian rustic, or let's bring a bit of that freshness to it. So let's, instead of using a wooden crossback, a wooden folding chair, let's use a bent wood chair, or let's use a Louis chair. Let's elevate it. So the client also feels like, yes, they've come to the right place. So I think it's just about finding inspiration in everything, which makes your events elevated more and more and more.
Right, thank you so much for that. And in the same breath, I would like to shoot that question to you as well, seeing as you're in the same industry. Okay, sure. So basically, what is the question? No, is with clients becoming more aware of what they want, have you managed to work with them in order to get them what they want while still bringing in your experience?
All right. Thank you. I think for us is it's slightly different. I feel so. The first thing is just realizing the trends have really changed, and as a wedding planner, you have to keep up with what's happening. Okay. Now, the last few years, we've seen the bride becoming more and more knowledgeable in what they want. Um, so when I look back a few years, what used to happen is the client relied solely on you as the wedding planner to decide who will work for their wedding. So a lot of time the buck stopped with me as a wedding planner. And if I say Fatima is an amazing decorator, let's work with Fatima, my word was almost the gospel. But right now, it's very different. The clients are coming with their own preferred choice of suppliers, and we've had to shift our goalpost and say, you know what, we have to work with anyone and everyone. However, still in that same process, you also need to realize that the reason why they're coming to you as a professional is also they need your professional advice, they need your professionalism to bring all this, because remember, they know her from maybe social media. But at the end of it all, the buck still stops with us as the wedding planner. So what that does is, even as we look at all these suppliers that the client has come with, all these designs, I still need to sit back and say, look, you know what? What you've seen there was for a wedding for 50 people. You want us to scale that to a wedding of 500 people without affecting your cost and all that. So there's always that you always have to sit back and realize you're still the professional in as much as they're coming with all this into the event space. So I think for us, it's just that realization. And then the other thing is realizing that your current bride is getting younger and younger than you are.
Wow.
And as a wedding planner, you really need to bring yourself to that level and start saying, how do I relate to the Gen Z? Because for me, what I hold truthful as a wedding planner are things like, in a wedding, the father of the bride has to talk, the mother of the bride has to talk, because that's how I was brought up. I was brought up, they have to talk. But here's a bride who's telling you, no speeches in my wedding. Like, we've just done a wedding where I had a bit of struggle because the client said, we are not going to have any photos. You know those kawaida photos, Jackso, of after the wedding, we stand at the front and we take photos. I have bride and groom with their parents, and there's that list. And you're coming and saying, she says, no photos whatsoever. We finish the event, we dance out. And the parents come back to you and ask you, what happened to those photos? You get?
What did you do in that case?
You have to move away from that old mentality and say, you know what? There are ways of getting these photos, but in another way, without having to sit people there for 5 hours watching these photos being called out, one after the other, and they have nothing else to do. So those are things that we've had to think through and look at how do we bring ourselves to the level of the current bride and move away from the bride of 10 years, who was very different from the bride of today.
Thank you so much, Fatima. And I'm still Fatima, right? Sorry. Apologies for that, and Alfred. Before we leave the wedding space, which is on my left, I'd like my fellow MCs to take a few questions from anyone who'd be interested in asking something to do with the wedding and event space in terms of wedding. Anyone? Okay. Myra, we can take like 2 questions and then I can proceed with the panel. There was one there.
Hi everyone, my name is Miles Mugambi. I have just 2 questions. The first one, that's for Fatima and Alf. The first one, if you don't mind, ladies first, yeah? So, how do you? I know there's something that Alpha said about keeping up with the trends. What's happening? What are 2 ways that you ensure you are ahead of the curve or ahead of the trending or what's trending? 2 things, and then let me just ask Alpha then. I sit down. Sorry, I had written down dyslexic. Okay, so Alpha, what are ways that you ensure, because you've said to you probably your bride is getting younger and younger, to you, how do you ensure that you are still able to tap into the market of Gen Z, whereas probably the people who knew you first are millennials or what are the other Gen X?
You've
Yeah,
forgotten them.
people born in 1950.
Oh, okay.
So, so so how do you ensure that you are still visible to them? Let me say this, probably apart from social media, because someone told me posting on social media is not marketing. I don't know how true is that. So please feel free to indulge. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Ladies first? Or? Okay. Okay. Okay, go.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mugambi. I think for me personally, it's uh, it's what Jackson said, and Jackson said one thing, which is people buy into how they feel about you as a brand, and that doesn't change. It doesn't matter whether you're appealing to the parents, because I think the trend, what has happened is, for the longest time, we started with trying to appeal to the parents of the couples, because if they bought into your idea, then you're most likely going to do the wedding, because more often than not, they're the ones who paid the wedding. And that worked for us for a very long time, because they did not care about your present anywhere. It was, you don't worry, we've experienced House of Doti, you will not go wrong. And that for us worked for a very, very long time, word of mouth. But then that moved to the current couple, who, yes, their parents still have an influence, but they really are the ones who make all the decisions. And for us, the one thing that we hold very true is our first meeting. The first impressions are always the lasting impressions. And we take a lot of effort into our first meetings with our client. The one thing that we've really works for us is, even before you meet, the impressions we give. And for us, we are very generous with specifically information. And that has really worked for us, because then people trust you more from where we are from. Where from the word go, our conversations are not really about money. Our conversations are really about, what are your expectations of us? What do you do? And all that. I want to correct you and say, I was a firm believer of, yes, social media is not really marketing, but I had to change. Honestly, social media works. And one of the things that we've done is we've had to come up with a product which we call a day with House of Doti doing a wedding. Why? Because initially we're in the same dilemma as Meg, where what are you posting as a planner? Okay? So anytime you post anything, it's either a wedding you've done with Fatema, but what have you posted? You've posted the flowers, you've posted the tables, and all that. So it's really more of deco. Okay? You post about the cake, because that's what people can see. But we realize that people want to know you for who you are. Who is House of Doti? By just looking at your social media. So we came up with a product that's working very well for us, where we look at particular weddings and we say, look, come film us doing what we do best from end to end. And the one thing that has come out from that is our consistency. And that's something that has really sold us to a lot of our clients, because they realize that, and it's across the board, they realize that it does not matter how expensive or how cheap, quote quote, the wedding was. The level of attention to detail, the level of passion, it's the same throughout. And that has really, really helped us to get to that level as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Alfie, as you were calling him, did you ask him for permission? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Fatima, you can take the question.
I think the question you asked was, how do we stay in trend with the changing, you know. So I think for me, or I would say our team, we stay in trend by educating ourselves. We're in constant, we're constantly just looking at things, we're constantly educating ourselves, we're constantly training, we are constantly trying to challenge ourselves to sit together and brainstorm like new ideas, when we have a client who we know is coming for a meeting, we've already like planned the meeting, we've already planned what we're going to show them. And as I mentioned earlier, I think if you have invested in a good team, it's also good to like give them the reins and say, okay, we have this client coming, the wedding is this many people, this is what she said she wants, come up with something. So when the client comes, you're already prepared. So that way, you're ahead of the client. um what happens, I think people become so comfortable, in they're just the same for like 15 years. You just see the same trend, you see the same tent, the same tablecloth, the same flower. There is no change. But if you're going to keep training, keep educating, keep challenging, like keep pushing yourself to the highest limit and the highest level, I think also looking at also what people internationally are doing. Not everybody who's international is doing great work, but then there are a couple of people who are doing some amazing work. So if you use that as your benchmark and you say, you know what, I don't want to just be local, I want to go international one day, then that would also empower you to go international in your thinking. So that I think is a very good learning point for anybody who wants to come into the industry.
Thank you so much for that response. Yeah, sure, please, please. We are at the fireplace discussing. Relax.
So allow me to probably respond to the same questions. One of the best ways, equally to what they've said, in regards to keeping up with the trends, for me, I discovered traveling really helps. When I went to Ghana for a wedding, one of my friends was doing a wedding in Ghana, and I was invited to be one of the photographers there. That's when I discovered the 360 booth. Coincidentally, it was one of those things that I kept on assuming that I might bring into the country, and I won't get clients for it because sometimes you tend to think that Kenyans, you are a bit slow when it comes to adopting to new trends. The day I brought the 360 in Kenya, for almost 6 months, it was fully booked. All these
That's
agencies,
amazing.
all these agencies, Akina Campari, Guinness, and all those people, they booked it to the point where I had to bring 10 360 booths in the country. Exposure, you'll get it proper in a very nice way, especially when you travel. For me, I went to Dubai was a good place for me, but then Tanzania and Nigeria was a really nice place for me.
You would say it was a game changer.
It was a game changer, 100%. Last year we were in Nigeria again because every time things keep on coming up. I like when Alfie Mesema, our brides keep on getting younger. We did a wedding where they didn't want a cake matron. Bride akasema, like, why should you come and give us stories while you're cutting a cake? It's just a cake. Let's cut it, eat, and go. Secondly, social media. I remember in 2021, I never did any social media marketing. Why? I posted one video on YouTube and it got 60 million views. I posted the same video on TikTok. It got almost about 7 million views. On Instagram, it got about 6 million views. And I promise you, it was the same video that got me bookings for 2021 and 2022. Those 2 years, we were fully booked. Social media is powerful.
It is. One more
We
question
have one more, and
before we
also
continue.
Meg.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm called Linda. I run Oriental Locations. We are based in Kisumu, and I'm very glad to be here. I'd like to add more flesh to what Fatima and Alfred have said, in addition to responding to the question to Miles. How then do we deal with younger brides who are coming into the market, and yet we are like, basically I've run Oriental Locations for the last 14 years. I started in Nairobi, then I went down to Kisumu since there was a need there. One thing I'd like to add, and I would resonate with what Rabah said, is that building a team is very important. And to add to building a team, incorporating young blood, these Gen Zs, we are at an age whereby we did our weddings 15 years ago, 18 years ago, but now we have new brides. Then how do we get to tap into their minds? Is by getting young team members in our teams. Get people who will tap into their age group and tell you what they want. That is a game changer. And even on social media, what Jackson has said, they'll make you come up with content for your social media, which then resonates to that age group, putting their kind of music in the background. Me, I'll put Boys to Men. Yet yet they're new songs. So social media and getting younger people in your team will help you tap into that market. Thank you.
We'll take more questions. Okay, Meg.
Not a question, just to add on something. Linda's reminded me of a couple who's asked to be incorporated for street food in their wedding menu. And honestly, I can't wait to see how we're going to pull that off. Now, to add on to what Fatima had said, to those who are thinking Meg is a startup, Meg the Planner is not a startup. I have been planning events for 14 years. I have trained people who are in this room as wedding planners and event planners, and they're actually thriving more than I am, which I'm grateful for.
Yay.
Continuously, it's important for us to keep learning, because it gets to a point as business people that we feel they're making money. I don't need to learn, right? Last year, I was in South Africa for a while. What was I doing? I was retaking my wedding planning certification, because I've been planning for 14 years, surely. I'm now beginning to feel like I'm the goat, no? But I'm not the goat. So I need to learn more. The other day, someone reached out to me on Instagram and said, do you plan Muslim weddings? No, did she say Muslim or Indian? One of those. And I was like, my God, I have never planned. And my first thought was, go back to school. Who am I going to learn from? Guys, who am I going to learn from? You don't know who I'm going to learn from? Fatima.
Yes.
I am going to be a student in Fatima's school of experience to keep learning from her. And if I need anything and I feel like House of Dotty have it, I will go and be a student, regardless of the fact that I run my own business. In my empire, I am the empress. But when I go to them, I become a student. So let's keep learning and relearning. You can never learn enough. Don't be a know-it-all to your clients. When your clients approach, you say, this is how we do it. We've always done it this way. As a planner, you pull a, we've always done it this way. I will turn away from you, because you're not going to understand what my client wants. Right. So let's keep relearning and learning.
Thank you so much, Meg. Now, there's one more question, and then we can continue, sorry, with the panel.
Okay, for me, for those who are not here when I was introducing myself, I am Bernard or Dope Boy Gush. Those are my artistic names. So I have like 3 questions. One is for Faith. Okay, in these e-field events, kuna a lot of stress. Unaweza plan event like for 4 months. Like for our organization, it's a young organization. So unapata most of the things, I'm the one handling them. You see? So and you find like push event for like 3 months, up and down, you're running here and there, making phone calls and all those. So mentally una feel like exhaust kabisa. And by the time event nafika, then I'm the DJ also. You see? Then I'm there in the morning doing everything, making like tuko shwe ko poa. So by the time event naisha, as in nimebeat kabisa, hadi siongee na msee. I just want to go home. I sleep for like 2 days. Even maybe the people who sponsored the event, when they ask me, hey, imekuaje? I'm like, hey, tulieni kwanza nipumzike. We'll talk maybe after 2 days, because una feel like uko worn out yako.
That is called a burnout.
Yeah, so how can you deal with that? Now, that's a very good aspect, that mental issues zina affect sana wasioko kwa hii industry yetu. Hiyo ni question ya kwanza. Then ya pili ni, as we know like Kenyans, kwanza napenda vile mna hii kitu inakuwa more professional, si like vile tumezoea. Most unapata zetu tumezoea ni zile disco matanga, you play kanungo mpaka asubuhi, then you go home, you see. But for me, I don't do those. Hata ni ndogo, I try to make it as ikuwe na standard. Kama ni ndogo tu, at least ikuwe imepangwa vizuri. But tunapata, as you know, Kenyans tunapenda kucut cost kabisa. Mostly in events, we don't take it serious. Maybe you have a budget like over 100k, but uta cut cost, you cut everything, you bring low quality, suppliers wana kusupply to low quality. So how do you deal with those low suppliers that wanakuletea vitu see up to standard? Then my final question, the element of learning. Me being in this industry for a while, okay, I started out as a rapper with Dandora Hip Hop City. Then tukaendelea hivyo, I formed my own entertainment company through learning from wala wako mbele yetu like akina Homeboys and all that. So my question is, industry haina mwisho. There's no point afika like useme like nimejua kila kitu, because of technology ina change every day. Settings ourselves na change, kenya wanataka pia ina change. So how do you make sure that your game iko top notch like throughout? Yeah, those are my questions.
All right. We'll start with Faith, right? I've been dying to hear your voice again. I was actually about to come to you. So thanks for that. You'll take his question?
Yes. And maybe I just need to mention that you took the words out of Kat's mouth, because I think that was the first thing she was supposed to ask me. So right. First of all, I cannot imagine what it is that how you guys do your work. There's so many things. So that first of all, it's just high pressure in terms of delivery, their timelines, and now for the planners is that you're even working with different people coordinating. So there's that. Then that on one side. On the other side, there is us, the clients, who are like, hey, how is my work? This is not good enough. This is my wedding date, the only one that I'm gonna have. So there's again pressure from that side. Then I can imagine even you now for yourself, the creativity bit of and I know this happens to a lot of creative people. When you do one good thing, you're always worried, will I be able to match it? Will I be able to top it? So that's an additional pressure, right? And then just many other things, and I can only imagine. Now, I wish there was like one thing we can say, this is the thing, the pill. If you take, then you're good, right? So unfortunately, that's the nature of your work. So what we can say is, then how do you manage, right? So one of the things is, I think you have to call the breaks for yourself. One of the things I'm passionate about talking about is self-care. Now, I usually say self-care, you cannot be given. It's self. Like, your boss cannot give you self-care. Your clients cannot give you self-care. So you yourself, and maybe yours, Bernard, will be different from Kat, will be different from Meg. You have to decide, maybe there are this number of hours, maybe post this time, I need to disconnect, right? So let me give you an example. Even the work that I do, not necessarily high pressure, but you can imagine there are emergencies. There are people who feel like, oh no, I have to talk to someone right now. And I know that and I appreciate, but I had to get to a place where I say, after like 8 p.m., I cannot take a client's call, right? And it's when you're starting off, it was very difficult. Am I letting them down? Am I the only one? So what I do is, at the beginning, I have to tell my clients. So these are conversations probably you can have with your clients. So I have a conversation and tell them, I cannot be your emergency contact, right? In case you feel like you need to talk to someone, either deal with your support system, or like I give them referrals of like hospitals. So there is that where I had to get there and say, past this hour, I have to disconnect. And now it's not just disconnecting from taking the phone call. No, it's also the client that I had at 2 p.m. and I know they were badly off. I cannot carry them psychologically. So that's also number two. It's not just physically disconnecting from work, but also psychologically and mentally. I had to be present in what I'm doing at that time. And sometimes being present is sitting and staring in space, right? It's not that when you're having self-care, when you're taking time off, it is not time wasted. It is not a vacuum, because someone will say, but Bernard, between 7 and 8, you look like you have a free slot. Yes, it's free intentionally, right? So you have to create that time for yourself. First, take a physical break, but also second, take a psychological break. I think the other thing I'd also like to add is also for you guys, being able to separate yourself from the work that you do. In that, having a bad day in the office, right? If you have a gig that didn't go the way you wanted, it's not a reflection of you as a person, right? It's very interesting. Meg, you call yourself Meg the Planner. And I hope there's a difference between Meg the Planner and now Meg, right? So Meg the Planner is the event person and doing. But you need to get to a place where then there are times when it's Meg and not Meg the Planner. I don't know if that makes sense. Such that if God forbid you have this event and it didn't go the way it did, that was a bad day in office for Meg the Planner. But Meg, her creativity, her skills, her what still remains intact. We are not what we do. So that's also something else. And I know when you're in a creative world, that can be very difficult, where you see yourself as a reflection of the work that you do. And many other things maybe we're going to talk about as we go along.
Thank you so much, Faith. And now, for now, we're done with the questions, but let them, one of them will take up about compromising on quality and how Kenyans cut costs. Have you guys ever dealt with that, and you deal with that, or you?
I'll take that. I think for me, the first thing that we always do, or I personally do, when it comes to an event, is I always tell the clients, it's my wedding. As much as it's their wedding, it's my wedding as well, because it's my brand on the line. And I've taken so long to build my brand to where it is. So one of the biggest things that you're bringing to the table is not just ticking a box just because the client said so. It's also being able to sit back and educate the client on the expectations. And sometimes all this cutting corners is because of ignorance. They may not know anything else rather than what they're seeing. One of the reasons why you are there as a planner, when I come in as a planner, is also to show them that, you know what, it still does not need to be expensive for it to be good. How can we still achieve what we need to achieve without cutting this corner that we're looking at? And the important thing is to also be, in as much as your planner, you also need to be an authority in a lot of the other things that you deal with. I may not be a decorator, but I know a thing or two about how much space I need between a table. So if, for example, Fatima comes and says, this tent is big enough to fit 200 people, and because the client is looking at the bottom line and saying, oh, that's cheap enough for me, I think for me as a planner, it's important to understand, I know for sure it's not. And you educate the client onto why it's not. And more often than not, when you show them that it's from a point of not making money, but from a point of making the event successful, more often than not, they'll be able to borrow from somewhere else and add to what needs to be done to make the event successful.
Thank you so much. Anything to add, Fatima? Covered, right? All right. As we continue with the questions, I'd like to. There's a question I really wanted to ask you about the 360, and it's something that has plagued this industry for the longest time, because all of us here are creatives, right? And we all own something that's very important that's hardly talked about. Have any of you heard about IP? Mike, don't answer. IP? Can anybody tell me what IP is?
All right, we have someone here.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Hi. My name is Sue Mweni. I am the founder of Suit Watches, a made in Kenya watch brand. Anybody who knows it? Anybody who knows it?
Yes.
Oh, that's encouraging. Yeah, so IP is intellectual property.
Yes.
And I'm talking about it because I've experienced it a lot, especially because the watches are beaded. So beadwork is culture. Can you say you own beadwork? But there was never a beaded watch before. So can I say I pioneered this? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're talking about it. I would love to learn more on that. Thank you, Meg. Shout out to you guys. You do amazing work. I'm talking too much. Okay,
No,
bye.
you're perfect. Thank you so much, Sue. Thanks for getting my question right. I didn't want Mike to answer because I know he knows what IP is. That brings me back to a question I had for Jackson. You brought a new concept to the industry. Did you patent it? Do you earn from it? When we see it being used by other people apart from you, is that something you thought of? Is that something you think of to this day?
There are two ways I believe you can be able to make good money, especially when it comes to new ideas. Number one is being the creator, the originator of an idea. You'll definitely be in business with that. Number two, being the first one to invest in someone else's creativity. I never invented 360. Actually, I was in Ghana, I saw it, and I thought of bringing it into the country. But the fact that I was the first one to bring it into the country, I leveraged on that a lot. Because everyone kept on calling us, asking us about the same. And actually, it took almost about 3 months before we had the second one, probably with other friends. And I don't know, like, we never patented the idea because it was originally not our idea. But we were just the first ones to invest into that idea.
Thank you so much for that. Now we need to bring Faith into this conversation because we need her in everything. So I wanted to ask her, have you ever dealt with any client from this industry? What are some of the tips you've given them on how to handle high pressure situations in the workplace, at home? Because there are many couples I know here who work together. Myra, where are you? Myra founded her companies with her husband. So at what point does Kadambi draw the line from cat when I go home to my kids and whatever? So What tips can you give all of us here on how to handle that and maneuver around it?
I'd actually like to hear from them first to hear how that works, especially as a couple. Now, I think it's just what I said. First of all, there has to be the recognition that there is, because even me on Instagram, I call myself psychologist faith. So there's psychologist faith here, but then there is also faith. When I'm at home, I am not the psychologist. So, and it's that what I was saying, not just physically separating yourself from the work, but psychologically. So, for example, I'd like to know, what conversations are they having on the dinner table? Is it about the client? It's the being very intentional in creating time, and it's okay. We can still carry work home. Like we keep saying nowadays, it's work-life integration and not balance. But we can say, okay, maybe not at the dinner table. You get, like, we can say there are these moments that we are having, Alfred. Yes, so we can just say not at this time. Can we put it for this time? It's just, but we have to be intentional. Like I said, it has to be very, very intentional. Otherwise, it will run us over. And especially creatives, again, like I said, because it's not an 8 to 5. You can't say now you're shutting down, right? And there are things that it's true. Like, we sometimes it can extend. It could extend into extra hours. So it's just that where you're like, okay, fine, we can talk about it at home, but maybe not at the dinner table, not between this and this time, whatever that looks like, not in the bedroom. Yeah, so that's one way, especially for couples working together. I feel like that's a very unique dynamic. But even those who are, even you could be alone, and that also is very dangerous, because I'm thinking I'm not inconveniencing anyone, it's just me. So I never clock out. Like, I'm just running on, like, I wake up, I sleep, and I know I'm here and I'm talking about wellness, and I'm very guilty of that, to be honest. It's very easy because you feel like you're not inconveniencing anyone, right? So you can sleep up to 2 a.m. when you're just doing a document here, a proposal here, and the other. But I try to be very mindful, and also telling myself, okay, if I'm working this late, it's because tomorrow I also have this chunk of time that I can recover. It's very important. So it's just, that's what I'm saying. We don't have a one size fits all. That's what we need to understand. We can't say it's between this time and this time. Like I said, I don't take phone calls from my clients at 8, but I know a friend of mine who has sessions up to, I think, 11 p.m., right? And it works for her. Yeah, because I guess now her during the day, whatever that looks like. So it's not to find a one size fits all, but it's to be very intentional in, yes, in creating that, the boundaries. Boundaries become very, very important, where work ends and my usual life begins. So that becomes very important. Then number two, I think, it's just being able to, I think, emotional intelligence, like he talked about it, that is also very key. In our emotions are everything. So how are we feeling? Like when Bernard said, you feel tired, you feel. So it's also listening to yourself again. And that's what I was saying, this is very different. My bandwidth and someone else's could be very different, right? Even what you said about him, it could be not necessarily burnout, but it could be, for us introverts, I'm an introvert. So from here, after this event, I have to go and not talk to anyone. You get, so sometimes it's not even just burnout. It's just that we are different. We are different personality. For an extrovert, probably they have to go home and talk about this event more. you know. See? But for me, I'm like, please don't talk to me. I do not want. Yeah. So also just that, knowing yourself. So emotional intelligence, self-aware, just so that, because I don't want to say there is a one size fits all. I think that's what I'm trying to depart from, right? It's know thyself, and then do right by yourself.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Faith. Now, before I go to my two last questions, I'd like to bring out an aspect that I think is important to all of us, and that's economic diversification. And each of you can talk about this within your industries and your companies. How would you say you've had rather different services that give you different types of income, and how that all fits into what you do as wedding planners, as psychologists, and as experienced innovators? Anybody can start, so that maybe the audiences can learn where they can fit into this space.
All right, I'll go first. I think diversification is it's different for different people. And I think when I think about it is how then are you able to continue maintaining your business to 10 years, 15 years, and you're still in business because you're in it for the money. And I'll talk from a planner's perspective. And I remember when we started, we felt the only way to make more money as a planner was to take up more jobs. Okay? Which was very exciting initially because it started from I have one wedding per month into 2 weddings. It started getting to 4 weddings per month. It was very exciting. But then when you sit back, you realize that it's also taking toll on your relationship with your lovely wife because you're busy building weddings, you're busy destroying your own marriage. Is that the right thing to do? So for me, what I felt, and this might sound very cliche, what I felt as a way of just looking at making more money because diversification is making money is increasing our price. That to me, I felt work well because what it did is it stopped me from having to do 4 weddings into doing 2 weddings that pay me as much as the 4 weddings were paying me.
Valid point.
But what that did is it also brought a lot of pressure on us in terms of delivery. Where if you're charging me more than anyone else, or if you've charged, because remember all these people talk and they know last year this is what you're charging. How come my friend, you charged this to my friend and now you're charging me this? Then you have to prove yourself what value are you adding. That's one. Another one that we realized, and this has become very popular now, is trying to look at your client and see what are the other needs that they might need that you might have a solution to. And one of them currently is we are seeing a very big shift in the wedding industry where the current couples are saying the wedding is our wedding, the rurashos, the koitos are our parents' weddings. And what have they done? They've said, we've seen how seamless it has been planning our wedding. Is it possible for you to just tap up into our parents' koito and rurasho and just help with that? Which for a long time was never the case. But we're now seeing koitos, rurashos asking for wedding planners. You will not charge them as much as you are charging for the wedding, but you add value to this client. And the moment you do that, you make slightly more money, but it also helps you because ultimately, as you come to do the main wedding, then you've also created relationships with the parents and all that really helps. A third one, and this I've learned from my very good friend, Fatima, and you may not know, and I know I've not told her, but it's something that I'm seeing, that I'm realizing as a plan, it's something to tap into. We're having a lot of weddings where people are doing destination weddings. And for destination wedding, it's just more than the running up and down and making sure the day goes well. The clients are demanding for what is the experience of our guests who are coming in. And they are asking, are you able to provide for us services that takes care of the needs of our guests? Not necessarily on the wedding day, but is it the travel? Is it the hotel bookings? Is it all those small things? And I know we're laughing about it with Tatiana about it. And you're able to say, yes, I'm a wedding planner. If I take up accommodation, it's taking me away from my core business. However, can you surround yourself with an extra person in your team who you tell, you know what? You just run with just the accommodation bit for these guys. And you tell these guys, that's over and above what I bring to the table. For us to add on to this, you pay me more. And through that, you've made some extra money. You've paid people, but you've also brought that business to yourself. So for me, how I look at diversification is not necessarily going outside of what you do day to day, but trying to look at what are you doing day to day that can add value to the client, but still make money for you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alfie. You were talking about the experience, diversification, and bringing it back the business to your company.
Also, for me, my definition is not necessarily doing something outside what you normally do, but looking inside in what you're doing and asking yourself, what is it that you can do over and above what you do within what you do that can add value to what you're bringing to the table, but make money to you as well in the process.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Fatima, same question?
I think Alfred has covered a lot of it. But I think for us, like diversification has been more of like, when we used to do decor before, we used to just focus on our weddings. We never used to like say hire our items much, because most of our items used to be, small. Like we didn't do quantity. If we're doing vases, we would have 20 vases or like 20 tablecloths. So it's more for our weddings. But now we've started renting out our items as well, because we've realized a lot of couples, maybe they don't want us to do the whole thing, but maybe they like our tablecloth or they like our vase and they just want to pick that up. So we've started opening up that as well. The other thing that also we've been doing is we've started a new line of furniture. So we've started doing luxury furniture, sofas, just trying to diverse into that rental market, I would say, because you can't be busy in 365 days. And to be honest, sometimes you also just want to take a break. You just want to take a month out, and that month also you have bills to pay. So if you have something that's just running without your input, you need to also have that kind of business. Yeah, and I think Alfred has covered a lot of it, that you have to look within your own, your own like talent, to diversify into the same talent instead of looking into doing something completely, like I wouldn't say that, okay, let's start DJing, let's start, let me become the MC of an event as well.
Standard.
Yeah, you can't be doing that. I mean, I've heard of a lot of wedding planners who actually do that. They become MCs as well, but that's definitely not our specialization. So
Specialization.
yeah, you have to be,
Diversification,
yeah,
specialization. Perfect.
exactly.
Thank you so much, Fatema. You have a response to the same question?
Yes, but I think we all will all keep saying, as Alfred said. Yeah. So for me, has been my clients, especially now the corporate in terms of the workplace wellness, have really, what can I say, grown me and pushed me. Now, I guess because it's a new in. It's not very old in the country, so there is the just the normal things that you can do for your client, right? But I usually get clients coming and asking me, "Hi, we know you're a psychologist and you're in this space. Can you do this?" So first of all, I have to, because I've never had that before. But I know I can use my knowledge. But at that moment, I'm not sure because I've never done it before. So I've had to believe in myself a lot. So I find a lot of tasks that I'm doing nowadays is yeah. So and maybe just to say, like Fatima said, of course, one of it could be like, it might seem like DJing when you're a wedding planner. So for me, there are things I'll do, then I'm like, okay, that's not for me. So initially, I will not say no, because if it's close, I mean, if it's very far, then it's a no. But there are things that seem almost close to what I do, right? And I'll do, then some I'm like, oh, okay, actually, this can be part of even my profile and some things that I offer. But then there are things I say, okay, that was a one-off. It went the way it went, but I don't think it's for me. So for me, it's been, so I can summarize it as listening to my clients and their needs, and seeing how the expertise that I can bring in that space. And in that way, I've grown my services quite a bit because of that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Faith. Jackson. In the age of all these TikTok photographers and all that,
I
how
think
have you diversified?
this is the point where you realize it would have been a bit more easier for me if I was the first one to answer this question.
Oh,
Because
that's
as
my
they
bad.
said,
My bad.
again, I'll give an example. I remember, I think it was in 2023, when we thought probably if we can be able to go and invest in different things, we came up with this idea of doing machonette houses, using steel and wood. Brilliant idea, but where is the market? It was so hard for us to be honest. We ended up just stopping doing that. But then at the same time, there was a day we were doing a wedding and we realized the bride went live while she was up on the stage. She just went live because she really wanted friends who are online to be able to see what was happening. We were with MC Kimari. Huko nyuma. Hi Kimari. So
Hi, Kimari.
so the event was so good to the point whereby the client decided to go live on that event. So wakati ilifika her time to go and do the cake cutting, she gave us her phone and told us, you know what, we are live. I'm live, so please continue holding the phone on my behalf. And it is at that point when I realized, actually, if we can be able to offer live streaming services, it can work for our clients. Then in the process of doing live streaming, we came to realize doing small reels. And funny enough, with our phones, all these reels which are trending online, most of them we don't do them professionally. Just with our phones, we realized it can become an avenue for us to be able to make more money with it. Because remember, most clients, they have that thing of they want instant gratification. You know, I'm cutting my cake. I want guys online to see. I'm probably walking down the aisle. In the next 5 or 10 minutes, I want to see it on social media. Then we started charging for our reels. After the wedding, we came to realize most of our clients used to give us pressure within 24 hours. Wameanza kupatia pressure, you know what, my friends are calling me asking for photos. And for sure, maybe they're not calling, but it's, you know, it's the client, you know. My friends are calling asking for their photos and all within 24 hours. And we came to realize, if we can be able to charge for quick edits, we are going to probably get more revenue. But in the process of that, we came and we ended up getting some new AI softwares that actually now we can be able to deliver the wedding within 48 hours. But for the sake of the client, we came up with a magic mirror booth. What does that mean? We can have a magic mirror booth at the entrance of the reception or maybe outside somewhere. Clients can come, take photos, get a printed copy, go back home with it. So that pressure of within 24 hours, I need to get my photos, ikaisha. Within your space, you can always see opportunities are always around us. I think it's Thomas Bach who said that to measure intelligence, you need to understand your ability to change. So the moment you understand your ability to change and learn new things as quick as possible, probably that is your avenue to diversification.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So many gems being dropped here. I hope you guys are paying attention. This is gold right here. So that brings me to my last question. And as a publicist, this is something I always train my clients. You always ask, let me use Femi One as an example. Oh, you started out as a rapper. What advice can you give to young girls who want to become a rapper like you? So here I am. Here I am. What advice can you give to young creatives, young entrepreneurs, young innovative creatives who want to bring experiences like you guys have for the last decades in combination? What can you tell small Jaxo, small Faith, small Alfie, small Fatima? What can you tell them? What, not even small, or rather young, what can you tell them that you did or that worked for you that they can possibly pick and move on in terms of what they want to achieve in their career? Anybody can take it. There's no order. Yeah.
Or maybe three. Number one, God. I'm a Christian.
Amen.
The Bible says in Genesis chapter 1, in the beginning, God. I remember when I started photography, I used to say that God's first career was photography. Because every time he created, he would look at it and say, it is.
Oh, that's nice.
So I used to say that I'm just following my father because he was a photographer, so let me become one. So there's always a place when it comes to spirituality, putting yourself before God or breaking yourself before God and praying for favor. I'm telling you out there, there are so many other good photographers. There are photographers who I look at and I'm like, my God, if I was able to just do this. But then probably they don't have the amount of clientele that we have. There's a place for prayer, there is a place for God. Number two, don't allow the second person behind you to catch up with you. Never allow. Always be ahead of everyone. Try as much as possible to learn as much as you can. Gather experiences as much as you can. I'll tell you, there's something that Bona CEO said that is so true. There are some weekends which we don't have any events. And to be honest, because I know there's always an event in Eva's Garden, there's always an event in Windsor. I just leave my house, go there, see what other people are doing. You learn from them. I'll give an example. Rema Feast. Am I talking too much?
No. We're good. We're still okay.
Okay. I remember Rema Feast. I think I pitched for the same job as Homeboys. Of course, they had the advantage of data. So they got the job. But crazy enough, I decided, you know what, I'll attend Rema Feast just to see how good these guys are. And for sure they were good. On the second day, I decided, you know what, let me pick up my camera and take all these good photos because I know people like Joshua Salman, they were coming, Apostle Grace Lubenga, JB Masi, all these amazing preachers were coming around. And I was like, you know, these people are good. They're good for my profile. Can I shock you? The moment I posted Rema Feast on my page, the following day, I received a call. The King and the Queen of UK are coming to Kenya, and you want similar or probably the same kind of photos that you did for Rema Feast. Mind you, that job was not even mine. I was just doing a free job, trying to just build up a small profile when it comes to this kind of men. I received a call, and guess what? When the King and the Queen came, I was of that motorcade. You know, now bigger picture. Learn as much. Kuna point ya clap ilikuwa inafaa kudrop.
To make you fail.
I know, I'm joking. But to anyone who's starting, never say you're doing a free job. It's always a place for you to market yourself and grow yourself. I remember the first time I met at the House of Doti. Mimi nilikuwa na shoot for free, but how much have I made from them now? So never feel like you're doing pro bonos is a waste of time. I did 50 weddings before I got my first wedding. Actually, we used to shoot so good that the bride would give us tips and we would survive on those tips actually. So never give up, push yourself, learn. Na nimeongea sana, wacha ishi hapo.
Thank you. Yay.
Right. So for me, what I'd say is don't fear reinventing yourself. I look at my life, I've had to start over so many times on different reasons. I mean, on different aspects of my life, personal life, but also work, right? So that's one of the things that we fear. And I think he alluded to it earlier is change, right? But don't be afraid. I'm beginning to appreciate that the more you grow older, at some point in life, whether it's, like I said, personal life or career, or you will need to change. Change will come, whether it's a change of job, whether it's a change of this, whether it's change of living with someone, probably like, someone dies, someone you are used to living with, or is a relative, and, and they die. But that's still a change. So never be afraid to reinvent again, to reinvent yourself, or to start again, or to embrace change, right? One of the things that I also preach a lot is acceptance. Once you accept, right? A lot of us struggle and get stuck at, actually my work basically for counseling, we call it unstucking people. You're stuck, and the reason why we get stuck is when we don't accept. I am not accepting that this is my reality, right? And I know a lot of us here, if we can trade stories, I'm sure most of us, there's like a point where something happened, whether it's a breakup, whether it's a this, even a marriage is still a change, right? We're embracing. I used to, like I said, I sleep at 2 a.m. Now I have someone there, I can not just sleep at 2 a.m. So then I have to adjust to that change. So it's very important to be able to accept, because also once you accept the situation as it is, that's the only way then you can plan and do something about it. But if I'm here and I'm just flogging this dead horse and I'm flogging it, then I'm not moving. I'm wasting time, I'm wasting energy, and I'm getting very frustrated. So my advice to not just the young ones, all of us, even I have to keep reminding myself this, is to accept. And once I accept, then I can do something about my situation.
Thank you so much, Faith. Round of applause for Faith.
I think the advice I would like to give is never stop learning. It's a continuous process. You learn till you die. That's what I say. So that is number one. Number two is, I think what Mike Rabar said, that money is not everything. You have to make a name for yourself first. You have to do a lot of, hard work, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of free jobs as well. As Jackson mentioned, there's a lot of you have to do a lot of, you have to gain a lot of experience to be able to gain that trust as well from your clients. So don't think that, okay, in 2 years or 3 years, I have to become rich or I have to become like this person. So that would be an advice as well. And number three would be, I think I would, if I was like 10 years younger, then maybe I would follow that. I didn't follow that at that time. Is I think you have to look after yourself as well. I spent so much time working that I kind of lost out on those, you know, days where I could have taken a break and just taken a back seat for a few, like, a day or two will not kill you if you just take rest. But I always used to feel, no, if I rest for like 1 or 2 days, if I don't attend this meeting, I'm gonna, this client will not, will go to somebody else. So I'll have to meet this client, or so I lost out on a lot of family time as well because of that. So I would say, like, you have to learn to balance your career. You have to be, you can't be a superwoman in just one thing. You have to be a superwoman in all your aspects of your life. And as women, we have the pressure more. For men, it's easy. They can just switch off. They just, they have the talent to switch off, which I always hate that. But for us, we have to look after our children in the morning, even when you're trying to sleep a bit. That one day you get, they come and wake you up. Oh, I need this, I need this, I need this. So as women, we never get a time to, like, really, switch off. So when you have that little time, I think you have to do that. You have to have that time. Work is going to be there for the rest of your life, but your memories will not be there. So I think the balancing your life and your career is very important.
Yeah, yeah. Those are such nuggets of wisdom. Thank you so much, Fatima. Thank you. And last but certainly not
Wow.
least,
All of a sudden, I'm now Jackson. I wish I'd gone fast. But I think, just to echo all that, I think all that is important. But I guess for me, the first thing that I always say is, for people like us, I think a lot of people say you're talking from a point of privilege. You can easily say that now because you're in a good space. But the reality is, it's taken us blood, sweat to get where we are. I'll tell you for sure, our first job as a wedding planner, I think we planned weddings for over 5 years without being paid anything because we were the chairman of the committees. My first job, I was paid 15,000 shillings to plan a wedding. And the reason I was paid 15,000 shillings was because I used to work for an airline back then. And for that particular day, this client said, please call in sick. I'll pay you the amount you're going to make if you flew. And I was going to make 15,000 shillings because I was going to spend 3 nights outside Kenya. And I called in sick and I was paid 15,000 shillings. But those were the best 15,000 shillings I've ever earned, ever, over and above everything else that I was earning. And for over 2 years, I was paid 15,000 shillings for every wedding that I did. Why? The majority of our clientele back then were people we used to work with. And to them, they used to say, if you need Alfie to be in your wedding, tell him in advance. He will call in sick. Then you pay him what is going to be paid. True story. And that's how we started. And what happened with the 15,000 shillings was, we now moved from being chairman of the committee to everyone taking a back seat and saying, we've not been paid. Alfie amelipwa 15, sisi hatujalipwa. So on the day, you're left alone. Back then, Dorothy was busy with the kids. And she had to come in and help me at that point. Because now the people you're working with are like, we are not being paid. You are the one who've been paid 15,000. So run with it. But that really now took us to where we are. So for me, it's been a lot of hard work. And even staying to and maintaining relevance at this level, it still takes a lot of hard work to get where we are. Number 2, which for me is the biggest thing ever, is integrity. Integrity, integrity, integrity. As a planner, I think that has been the one thing that has really grown us to where we are. And when I look at it, somebody gave me an analogy of what integrity is, and that has stuck to me. So in one of my trainings, somebody said, integrity is what you do, and this might sound very petty, but you assume you're in a shower, but you're in those showers where the shower is not the same as the bath, as the toilet, so as to speak. And you're already taking a shower, the water is running, and you need to take a leak. Okay? Now, ideally, when you're inside that room alone, it's very easy to continue doing your business there because either way, water will still wash it away. No one will ever know you did what you did. But integrity is, if you need to take a leak, switch off that water, dry yourself, you're not done with showering, go out to the next room where the washroom is, do your business there, come back again, put on that water and continue showering. It's doing what you will otherwise get away with it. And what that has done to our business is our integrity is not only to our customers, we're very clear about our paths in terms of payment and all that. Because unfortunately, we've seen a lot of us go down because of integrity. Where a client, and we look at our business like a pyramid scheme. You're paid for a December wedding, we're in March. I.e., by the time I get to December, I'll get money. So what have I done? I use that money, I buy an S24 Ultra. It was Dorothy's birthday, I didn't have money, but I have a client who's just giving me money. Why not? By December, you get. And it just builds up and builds up. By the time you're getting to December to do that wedding, you're busy running to your friend Fatema to say, Aki, honestly, I know we've been paid, but I'll pay you. You just come and do this wedding. You get. What has grown our brand for us is our integrity to our client. And it's very clear that for us is, I don't even have to handle that money. You know, they can pay Fatima directly and I'm okay. But also integrity to our suppliers, where a lot of times as a supplier, you're very quick to support the client, but at the expense of your clientele. And one of the biggest problems that we're having currently as planners is, and I don't know if Meg, you have that, is the issue of suppliers' meals. Where you're in these posh hotels, okay, and it's 150 packs wedding, but your suppliers are 30. And the client cannot understand, how am I paying 4,000 for this extra 30 guys? How much is that? Yet my clientele is 150. And you're in a place like, whatever it is, 3 days wedding. And we're very quick as planners to quickly say, don't worry, they'll sort themselves out. Because you want to look good to the client. What have you done to these guys who you've built a brand with? What have you done to Jackson? You know what I mean? And his team, who are going to be there from 4 o'clock when the bride wakes up. And lunchtime, the scene, these guys are busy having whatever they're having. And you guys have been told, go to the back of the tent. And you're being given spinach. You're being given with ugali. And to you as a planner, you're the first one to say they'll sort themselves out. I think for me, one of the things that has really helped us is also the relationships that you build with your team around you. Because you're only as a good planner as your suppliers who you surround yourself with. And that to us is very critical. And it's advice that I can give to anyone who's coming up. You're a gatekeeper for both your client, but also very importantly for your suppliers. Because the client will come and go. You'll be left with these suppliers. And I think the other thing that's very crucial, and this is actually a challenge to us on this panel and to us who's been in this business for quite a while, is how are we impacting on the upcoming planners?
Here.
How are we impacting? Because it's a challenge. It's a challenge. It's a void that we have in the industry. Because we realize that, yes, we are growing, but we won't be here forever. How sad is it to meet the next couple to come and say, I wish we had somebody like you doing our wedding because there are these gaps. But the only way we can help cover these gaps in the industry is how do we hold everyone else's hand as we grow up and bring them up? Can we mentor people more? Can we do master classes more? I really respect people who are doing master classes. It's not easy, but it's an important aspect of our industry. Can we try that? Fatima, can you get more people to just come and learn from you? Alfred, can you pull more new planners? Come, talk to them. They will learn something from them. Same as Jackson and everyone else. I think once we do that, we'll then all be able to be on a pedestal where we are able to even dictate our pay. Because currently our biggest problem is that just because we've not been able to raise people up, then we're having a lot of undercutting because everyone is trying to see how do they get into the industry. And the easiest thing is to undercut, which is not necessarily the best thing in the industry. But thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Now, this fireside chat of mine, the fire is slowly running out, but clearly we need to have more events like this. So shout out to Meg for this, for bringing us together. And I would like to summarize the takeaways from what we've gotten. So there's faith. Um, we all we all speak to our higher power source, whoever that is. Acceptance of your situation and change. Integrity. Integrity. That one was huge for me. Integrity is what you do when no one is watching you, right? Yeah. And then obviously balance. As a mother myself, I highly relate. There are very many women, beautiful women I've seen here. We all have lives that we want to make work. We're all career driven, which is not how we were in the 50s, 60s. So it's a new aspect that we are all learning from. But I would like to um, add on to what she said. Our children are watching us. What are they seeing? Our children don't learn from what we tell them, it's from how we treat ourselves. So are we balancing things out? Are we taking time for ourselves, self care, thanks to faith? And so yeah, basically I hope I've summarized as much as I can. I know we are running out of time because I the conversations were flowing, and thank you so much to my lovely panelists. My first time doing this, and I felt like I was right at home, and I owe that to
You're
all
awesome.
of you. Thank you so much. So I don't know, Myra, how much time we have for questions. Uh, it's okay. Okay, I think we answered questions in between, yeah. So maybe when we have a photo session with all our panels, and then we can, yeah, Meg, kindly. All right. So where are the photographers? Kindly, can we go down there? I think it's better, yeah.
Kat, maybe for those who had questions, because some had written down, we'll do a small networking. Just have your questions, and then we'll choose a captain.
Yeah.
We'll get your questions, and they'll be answered
Okay.
kindly.
Thank you so much, MC Mas. Thank you.
Mpiga picha, kameramani, unapiga picha wapi? Unapiga picha wapi? Pale walipo. Kameramani, tunakusubiri. DJ.
Selfie, karanga selfie, karanga selfie, mana puto yango selfie, mana kini bozo selfie, yako bina na wo selfie, ade kanga photo selfie, karanga selfie, karanga selfie, mana puto bazo selfie, ino kuna pika selfie, ale yaka koso selfie, karanga selfie, karanga selfie, I want to be like a titongo, kia bini azibongo, bana na puto tukena ngo, for you to tiki etitongo, bana na puto kata dance, bana Colombia kata dance, bana Guinea kata dance, so I want to kata dance, yango.
All right. Wasn't that a nice session? Can you even tell that that was Kat's first time? You couldn't even tell. And of course, the gems that were impacted by all our panelists. Well done. It was a really great session. Hapo kwa husband and wife. Hey, it is a skill in itself. I think we need to talk to Faith Numayatent because it's something we still need to learn. First of all, big up to Alfred and Dottie. As in, like, I've seen you guys work. Okay, I don't know how you do it. I take notes because they're still loving on each other even while working. I can attest to that. So big up to you. And of course, finding that that work-life balance is so important. And it's still something that we're trying to do, especially for the mothers, the women in the house. is something that we still need a lot of notes on. But we are now getting into like stretching our legs for a little bit. We are letting this part be taken over by our MC, Himas. MC Himas has mad energy that we usually like to soak off of. So MC Himas is taking us through the second part. Let's welcome her with a dance because she likes to dance. DJ. Twende kazi. Aya.
All right, thank you, DJ. Thank you. Please don't leave yet. First, before we go to the last session, which I believe it's the best session, I don't know if I'm lucky or I'll say I'm unlucky. I always get the first and the last. Am I lucky? Huh? Okay, I told you people, we need to communicate. Ni baridi unasikia? Unasikia baridi? Simameni. Tusimame kidogo basi. Kama munasikia baridi. Where are my dancers? Watu wakisikia baridi, tunawaacha wasisikie baridi. Naomba kusimama huku juu muweze kuniona huko. Everyone can see me from there? All right. Now, let me just give 2 instructions what we'll do. We'll just ice break with 2 songs. Hi, Kimari. Hi, Superstar. Damiano, I saw you somewhere. Thank you. Those are among the MCs that we have them here. I'm really glad that they came for this. I want you to regroup yourself in 10s. Then in the group of 10, you get a captain. After this, then you'll be allowed maybe to mingle around, and then I'll tell you what to do next. In the meantime, please get your space. Get your space. Then take out your phone. Take out your phone. Panguza kamera. Najua muna simu. Shikilia your Samsung S24. Ingia kwa kamera. Everyone has done that? Kila mtu amefanya hivyo? Now, DJ is going to play a song. You can dance if you want for now. But I want you to just move from where you are before we have a simple dance and take a selfie with at least 3 people. Tumeelewana? Meg is already doing it. DJ, give me the selfie dance. Please make sure that you make use of your front camera. Make sure that you take with at least 5 or 3 people. When you're done, let me know. Just wave your hands up. Are you done because of time? Can you the DJ? Thank you. All right. Everyone has had some selfies? Everyone? Kila mtu amepiga selfie na mtu tofauti. Okay. Now, before you regroup yourself into group of 10 and get a captain, now just come back here. We're going to do something very simple, and then we sit down so that I can give you the next instructions of networking. Tell your neighbor to give you space. Tell your neighbor to give you space. Jackso, get your space. Beautiful lady over there. Faiza Cakes, get your space. All right, DJ, let's do some shuffling. If you see what the dancers are doing, just follow it. Hey! Pull out DJ. From back there, wengine miguu ziko huku, zingine ziko huku. What is happening? We start from the right, okay? All right, DJ. Can you just swing kidogo? Swing it. Just move kidogo. On the back there. So bring your. Make sure that you walk around as you swing on it. Come on in.
Let's all celebrate and have a good time. We gon' celebrate and have a good time. It's time to come together. It's up to you. What's your pleasure? Everyone around the world.
So, Baridi. Aya, where you are, just put your hands up like that. Put your hands up, ruka kidogo. Jump, 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 jump. Ruka kidogo. Are you ready? Let's go. Wait. Ruka. Ruka. Let's go. Huko. Ati. Eyawa. Twende. Kalito the MC. Wewe. Aya ya mwisho alafu tumalize. Can you pull over? All right, a hand of applause to yourself. Jipigieni makofi kwa kuja. We may have our seat kindly. We won't take more time. We know time is running out. Please let's have our seat so that we can close up on the higher side. We close to what we started. Tafadhali, those who are leaving, only 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And I want to take this chance first to recognize our sponsors for the night. Without them, we could not have done this. So if you hear your company's name or your name, kindly just lift up your hand. If possible, you can come here so that we can recognize you and appreciate you. First, I want to recognize Lux and Alua Events. A hand of applause for them. We have a representative, please. Lux and Alua. Lux. I think I had seen her here. All right. Then we have Golden Memories. A hand of applause to Golden Memories. We have someone from Golden Memories. Okay. Icon Radio. Just come. Kuja tu mbele tuweze kukuona. A hand of applause to him. That's Kevin from Icon Radio. H&J Events, that's Mega. Bring yourself here for 1 minute. Thank you so much. Then we have Milane Events. A hand of applause to them. Milen, if we have a representative. Mkokoteni Bar. A hand of applause to them. Let's have one representative here. Mkokoteni Bar. Drunken Ape. Drunken Ape. Thank you. Let's have the representative here. Audiocraft. Audiocraft in the house. We have someone from Audiocraft. Oh, Nyinyi. Sorry, Buzz. For the Cribs Good Sound System. A hand of applause to our super people here. Sioni show off. But thank you for the awesome job. Hatujakuwa na feedback or bad music, sindio? That's an amazing sound or PA system. Then we have Kanye D, the DJ. Bado. Bring yourself here. And last but not least, we have the amazing MCs who are here. That's Kat and Myra. Myra? Okay, I think wako tu somewhere hapa. Let's give them a hand of applause. And now, for the best, MC Himazali, naomba munipigie makofi. These are some of the sponsors that we had today. They've done an amazing job. Sindio? Sindio? Meg, we wish to see such events over and over again. Maybe you give us a break of 1 month, 2 months, alafu tunaenda. Ikiwezekana hata kila mwezi. Nishuke. Mimi mfupi bana. Haya. There. Nisimame juu ya pesa. Lakini ni madharau. Nisimame juu ya. I'm not that short. Lakini I'm short. Ni hawa wananifanya na kuwa mfupi. No. Hey. You're done? All right, a hand of applause for them one more time. Now, please don't be seated. As I said, please make sure that from where you are seated, regroup yourself in 10. For only 10 minutes, we'll be done with this thing. Just 10. In a group of 10. Please, 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 find your partners in 10. People that you don't know each other. 10. And I'm only giving you one song. DJ. 10, 10, 10, 10. Kalito, where are you? Kalito? In a group of 10, please. You're supposed to be in a group of 10. Come and join here. In a group of 10. Huh? Please regroup yourself in 10. You need to be in a group of 10. A group of 10. How many are you here? 10. You already have a team. Okay, DJ, can you kindly hold it? They are a group of 10. Now listen to the instructions because I'm only going to give it once. We don't have time. Can everyone hear me? In your group of 10. No, she cannot be here. She already knows what we want to do. No. So, in your group of 10, make sure that you have a captain. Choose your captain. In your group of 10, choose a captain. Are we together? Captain. Now that captain, shh. Let us all be silent so that we can hear the rules of the group. Meg, we know that you're the baby, but kindly, kidogo too. In 10, choose your captain. After you get that captain, make sure that you people, do you know each other? Your captain knows about you and you know about your captain. Then the captain will come and do a very simple thing that I'll give. Make sure that you know, like, hi, how are you? My name is MC Himas Halima Ali. I'm a noise maker. I'm a... Sawa? Tumeelewa? 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 All right. The best captain has a prize. A gift. Who is the captain here? You. Meg cannot be here because she already knows what we want to do. She can't. That's why I'm removing Meg, the MCs. Sit here. Please. Damiana, you're not 10. You can go and join that group there. 10, 10, 10. Or if you believe in yourself, well and good, get a captain. Get a captain. Now, just know about your team, what they do, get to know their names. That captain will do the simple introduction of the team. DJ background music, chini ya maji tu kidogo. When you're done with your team, raise your hand. Huh? Hi, Jimmy. You're done. Your captain can come. When you're done with your team, the captain can come. That's the psych we want to hear, Team B. You're done with your team. Awesome. Wacha kuja ajue hata majina za watu wengine. The next team. Damiano and your team. 2 minutes. Sue and your team. You're done. You're the captain. You may be a serious. Hey, ulienda Kenya High School. We're sorry. Damiano. Which other group is here? We have another one, the last one. Make sure that you will introduce them one after the other with what they do. That's why we said teamwork. Sindio? You work with your team. The group in the middle, we are waiting for you. It's okay, you can take your time and learn them. Like 2 minutes for you. Sawa. That team over there. And make sure that you are, okay, the captain can come. Now, hold it, Kanye. Now listen careful. Are you sure mumechagua the best captain? Wow. So where are your people? Team Sue, hi. Team Jimmy, hi. Team Tatiana, hi. Team Damiano. Hey. Ano wale wanasema pesa itaki kelele. We are sorry about that. Now, let's hear if your team Nini captain knows about you. And this is what is going to happen. When I give the microphone to your captain, he's going to introduce you. Please, ukiitwa kuja, alafu unajua wengine tunawajua, so please don't lie. Because we want people to hear about you and to know what you do, okay? Kanyi, you know what you do best? Let's hear from, where do we start from? You. Huh? Before nisahau. That is the point. Let's go with her. Yes? Just use the microphone.
Great. So I'll start with myself. My name is Tatiana from Aura Event Planners. And I'll start the introduction with one of the best motion videographers we have. His name is Chris from Icon Radio.
Even if mnashangilia team member wenyu. That's gone.
I'll then introduce Faisal, Princess and the Cake. She makes the most amazing cakes that you have ever tasted. You need to order from her. She is amazing.
Next
is Patricia from Lumas Limited. You guys, if you are running a bar and you want somebody serious to make sure that your events are well managed, this is Patricia from Lumas Limited.
Okay, next person.
I'll then introduce Doris from Yellow Hummingbird. She handles the concierge part of the Yellow Hummingbird. Please come, Doris. I'll then introduce Mugambi. You guys have not seen